Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Motoroids. My name is Karan. I'm standing here right now with the Royal Enfield Bullet Trials. Well, this one is a 500cc motorcycle. It's also available in a 350cc variant. Now, from the very outset, let me tell you, once you look at this motorcycle, it might look a little unusual to you, but the fact is that it is a fun machine. So allow me to expand that for you. Now, this particular example, it pays tribute to the 1949 trials Royal Enfield that won many accolades and awards internationally. And that was ridden by one gentleman called John Britton, who was considered the Valentino Rossi in his genre, if you may, of trials motorcycling. Now, trials motorcycling as such is a genre of motorcycling where you go through ruts, rough patches, and twigs and trails and river crossings or water crossings, and they have specific courses designed for this kind of motorcycling activity. That is exactly what we did on this machine too today, where we had to go through a set course without putting our feet down or climb a hill or go through ruts or just follow a trail, and this machine turned out to be pretty much fun. It's not very clinical, but allow me to tell you more about this in terms of design first. So up here you have this headlight protector, which is sort of plastic, and over here there's a sign which says it's not for highway. So it's only when you're riding this motorcycle on trails, when you're following a rider, if there's any kind of pebbles or some debris being thrown around by the rider in front, so this protects the headlight. Besides that, you have these fork protectors over here. You have Duel Channel ABS, you have this metal front fender which has these braces to keep it in place, and these spoke wheels, this is a 19-incher, you have Seat tire up front, the one at the rear is an 18-incher wrapped around 110 section rubber. Besides that, you get this chrome around the engine to protect in case of a tip over. You also get an engine guard to protect you from any kind of debris. Now, one thing that could have been done better on this machine though are these foot pegs, and with 130 mm of ground clearance, once you're doing slightly serious amount of off-roading, the clearance does not seem to be all that much, and these pegs, they also come in the way of certain rocks if there's a narrow passage through which you're passing. Had they been rear set, it would have helped also when you're standing up on the motorcycle and tackling some rough sections. Besides that, you have dual channel ABS which cannot be disconnected or deactivated, so that system is always on. But these tires, they're really nice, and it lends this motorcycle with the capability of doing a fair amount of off-roading. Besides that, you have this upswept exhaust which sounds quite nice to the ears. It's slightly meatier than the sound that you get from a road-going classic Royal Enfield. So let me make you listen what it sounds like. So as you can see, that's what it sounds like. Pretty much like a Royal Enfield. You have these bits over here which have been borrowed from the Interceptor. The fender has been chopped off, and this motorcycle is a strictly single-seater bike. You must have noticed there are no rear foot pegs, no provisioning as such, and there's no seat as well that you get. So this is a very personal kind of a machine, something which is meant only for the rider to have fun. Now, the difference between the 350 and the 500 trials here is that you get this chrome application on the tank, and where this particular motorcycle follows a silver and green paint scheme, which is a tribute to the 1949 motorcycle which John Britton rode. The other one, the 350cc, gets red highlights for its chassis, and the paint remains the same also. You don't get this chrome application on the tank over there. Now, besides that, let's acknowledge the elephant in the room is the weight of this motorcycle. This motorcycle, the 500cc here, it weighs 192 kilos, that's the curb weight, and on paper it does seem a lot for this motorcycle. This handlebar over here, it gets these braces for added sturdiness if the bike takes a fall, so that, you know, this thing doesn't really break or bend very easily. Besides that, what could have been done is this gear lever here. This is again a heel and toe shifter, where normally such kind of motorcycles, they do have a toe shifter only. What happens is when you're tackling an off-road section on this bike and your foot is somewhere here, accidentally you do tend to upshift this bike into a higher gear, which can be a little tricky if you are riding probably downhill or you want the bike to stay in a lower gear. Apart from that, the fuel injection system does its job rather well, and power delivery is pretty crisp for a bike of this sort. And on the braking front, what we would have liked is at least for the rear brake ABS to be disconnected, but that does not happen. The brakes also, they're not very sharp on their own. They could have been better. Probably the units on the Interceptor and the Continental GT650 could have been here. Apart from that, this is a fun motorcycle to ride. It handles the rough section quite efficiently, as we figure out while tackling a few trails and rough sections around here through this course. And also the suspension, you know, the front, although the travel is not as much as say you get on a Himalayan, there are times when it does bottom out or makes the front sway a little, which is okay if you're someone who's an evolved rider and understands this genre of motorcycling. But for someone who's a newbie, they might get a little unsettled once that happens, but it takes time. It happens with time that you start enjoying what this motorcycle has to offer. Besides that, the switchgear that you have here is a straight lift off from the Classic range of motorcycles. So are these bars and the levers as well. So is the instrumentation. This brace for the handlebar is new for this motorcycle, and on the left side too, everything is still the same as the Classic. So we've had a fun day here riding this Royal Enfield Bullet Trials at this place called 19 Degree North in Lonavala. They had a special course and special sections designed for us to sample what this motorcycle has to offer. And in conclusion, what we have to tell you about this bike is, to be very honest, it's not something which is for everyone, which might not be appreciated by everyone. But if you do appreciate the joys and fun involved in motorcycling off-road, this might just charm you. However, at 2,07,000, the asking price for this Royal Enfield Bullet Trials 500, that's a little steep. But then this is a fun motorcycle, and it also makes sense for all those who travel to the hills or the Himalayas quite a lot, and rather than picking any other machine, even the Himalayan for that matter, they have to travel with their Royal Enfield Classic. So for them, this is something which comes upgraded right from the factory to do those sort of things. Well, the Classic in my books isn't certainly one of the most comfortable motorcycles for some terrain like the Himalayas. So this is something which will do the job if you have to take a Royal Enfield and not a Himalayan to the Himalayas or any such other place like that. So on that note, that's our time here with the Royal Enfield Bullet Trials. It is a fun motorcycle, and if you do like it, do go take a test ride at your nearest Royal Enfield showroom. So on that note, if you did like this video, hit that like button, do hit the subscribe button for more such content, and do share this video with your friends who like Royal Enfield. My name is Karan, this is Motoroids. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.